I found an interesting article in the December 2020 issue of the Journal of the American Dental Association on a subject near and dear to my heart. It is interesting to me that this article was published in this particular journal because it has to do with dental mission work. Let me walk you through it. First, the reason this is an important topic is because there's a universal need for dentistry, and dental pain and infections are a great source of problems for underserved populations, both here in the United States as well as in other countries. For this reason, there is a need for what we can call basic dental care. Sometimes, if we bring with us to a mission location, not a dental office, the right supplies and equipment, tooth decay can be treated with modern, high-quality fillings. Once I saw the coordination of 2 mission trips spaced a few weeks apart that enabled the delivery of dentures and partial dentures on the mission field. But that's a rarity. There is a level of dental care, mission care, even more basic than this, and it requires less equipment, but is still very valuable. When we do not have access to electricity or generators, there is still a way of providing suffering people with extractions and cleanings using local anesthesia and basic instruments. This still goes a long way in reducing infections and eliminating pain. This subject of short-term mission work needs volunteer dentists, and the purpose of the article I read was to study dentist attitudes about doing this type of work. And that's where I came up with the title, The Holistic Development of Dentists. The design of the research was to use a combination of questions that could be tabulated numerically, sent to dentists via email, as well as accomplishing some face-to-face interviews in order to better understand motivations. 2,000 research questionnaires were sent out. The return rate was 20%. This resulted in 395 respondents from 44 U.S. states. After the questionnaires were returned and their data placed into a spreadsheet of some sort, they were compared against the data collected from 60 qualitative interviews of dentists face-to-face. And these dentists were experienced with this kind of work, and on average, each of them had accomplished 55 trips. Here's how they described what they did in the article. Quote, "In constructing the research instrument and in conducting the qualitative interviews, we performed a thorough literature search exceeding 250 STM resources, and STM stands for short-term mission resources. Consultation with hundreds of dentists at more than 330 dental convention exhibit booths during the past 5 years, and personal experiences from more than 70 STMs. Using these sources, we gleaned and categorized major benefits and detractors of STMs into 6 holistic developmental areas." So let me jump to the bottom line of the study. Those who participated in this sort of work found it benefited them in the following 6 areas of life, what they call the 6 holistic developmental areas. And these are emotional, intellectual, physical, moral, social, and spiritual. Often these are associated with the picture of a hand. Each finger represents one of these areas, with the palm of the hand assigned the spiritual center. I will have a picture of this that I took from the article posted in the blog section of my website, dryoungperiodontics.com. Those who sent back the questionnaires responding negatively to the idea of short-term volunteer activities were then evaluated for the reason someone might not want to participate. These resistant points were then discussed in the interviews with those most knowledgeable about this type of work, and the conclusion was that detractors did not adversely affect short-term mission movement. Of course, there was more than this, and there's a lot of data that's placed in the article I'm not going to discuss with you. But now let me put all of this into my own words. So now I'm speaking personally. When we are able to treat patients in a mission setting, it benefits the patients, of course. That is the primary reason for the activity, after all. But there is something else that happens, a benefit, often unexpected, especially at first, in its power to affect those who volunteer. Thus the reason for this article, by the way. And as the article nicely broke this down, it affects those of us who do this sort of work in those 6 areas of life. So let me go down them as I relate to them personally. So let's begin with emotional. It is important to maintain an emotional connection to people who suffer. However, it isn't easy when there is physical pain and the emotion of fear involved. Also, there is the feeling of helplessness, and I'm talking about the provider, in the face of problems beyond our control to fix. In other words, it is understood that no matter what the amount of care provided, there is still more that could have been done. The problem will never be completely solved in this sense. For this reason, it is very understandable that people who prefer not to step into situations so far out of their ability to control would therefore avoid volunteering. There are studies that show that those entering dental school have aspirations of serving humanity. This is what we all say in interviews when applying to all sorts of postgraduate training. But this isn't to say that it isn't sincere. It is very sincere. People go into healthcare fields because they wish to serve people. However, after dental school, the same individuals, when given the same psychological tests, are consistently found to have hardened and become more cynical about life, themselves, and others. This happened to me. The reason has to do with beginning in our imaginations as to how life will be. That's our first interview. We imagine that we're going to be good at what we do and people will be appreciative and helped. That's fine. But then we actually go through and experience the training in real life. We have real life encounters. We face the frustrations and difficulties when things don't work out the way we expect them to. No one, fortunately, can anticipate how difficult some of the training will be to our self-esteem. Otherwise, we would not have gone through it. And it also affects our relationships with other people. Dental students are placed under a great deal of stress. Some of it is unique to dentistry, but some of it is just commonly shared by everyone who goes through this education process and grows through this time of life as they're heading toward their careers and hoping that they will be successful upon graduation. Most dental students today also are under enormous debt pressure. This affects the personality. It affects the emotions. All of it is a great deal of inward turmoil. Fortunately for me, while still in dental school, I was permitted to go with a dental school instructor on a dental mission trip to southern Mexico, the state of Chiapas. It involved transportation to small villages via light plane. We hauled portable dental chairs made of cardboard, which we still use today. That's a very effective way. Lightweight, easy to put together chairs. And we brought along generators and compressors in order to actually accomplish those dental fillings I described above. It was quite sophisticated for a very backward place to work. Some patients I treated who were laying across a picnic table bench. This singular experience had a profound effect on my attitudes. It did a number to my emotions. It reduced my self-centered focus and provided me a different context in which to care for patients, work with other teammates, and all the rest. It also set me on a course for wanting to continue this type of activity through my entire career. And it wasn't to solve the world's problems, but to help stabilize my own selfish nature, my self-centeredness. In many ways, I think the volunteer work has greatly enhanced my professional skills and work that I provide people every day. I hope I'm making sense to you. If you volunteer, no matter what it is, as long as it is not a reciprocal interaction, in other words, whoever you care for cannot pay you back, cannot return to you anything, then good things will happen to you that are beyond our ability to describe. They will be changes within your emotional center, your heart, that are actually priceless in nature and of an immense therapeutic value. Giving care to others freely obviously does not pay the bills. In fact, in a financial sense, it costs those who give it. The difference is that instead of taking money from someone else in order to go and care for others, which I will add is a legitimate way of doing things for those who dedicate themselves to long-term missions and therefore remove themselves from their ability to earn their own income. But in the short-term mission, I utilize my own resources. I'm paying myself actually to go. So that's the first one, emotional. Let's go to intellectual benefits. A great deal of planning is necessary when we become involved in these short-term mission activities. In addition, the planning involves coordinating with others if it is a team project, which all of mine have been. The first hour of setup in a small church with one electrical outlet, for example, challenges the intellect. How will we manage crowd control? How will we make sure we treat everyone who comes fairly? In other words, distribution of care. How will we work with those from the local community who come out to help us? And the list goes on. There has not been a volunteer event I have participated in that I have not learned many practical things still that I can then come back and incorporate into my daily practice. The point is, we learn from difficult challenges, and what we learn has the possibility of staying with us and changing how we do things, not only on a mission field, but in daily life. The physical, well, what can I say? It's an adventure. You get out of your routine, you go places, you have to travel, you have to pick up and haul equipment. There's a lot of physical involved. Moral. This is an important area to consider. It has to do with the dignity of man. Just because we go to provide care to those who cannot afford it, it does not give us license to misuse anyone. And in fact, unless we address this, we may actually inflate our own egos in the process. And one of the benefits of the volunteer activities is actually to put a pin in our own egos, to deflate them, to reduce them. Part of that is to see the overwhelming nature of the need and that we cannot by ourselves supply it. This environment in a group mission activity enables more seasoned dentists to work with younger dentists, dental students, and others, and help them understand how to care for patients with dignity and respect. I can't emphasize enough how much we learn to take care of people. It's a disciplined process of learning, not simply coming out of our niceness. So we have to be trained in this. That's my point. The social, well, this is an amazing opportunity to work and interact with others. It's great for building lasting friendships. Many are made on a mission field activity like this. And finally, the spiritual. All of it feeds our spiritual centers. And I believe in the spiritual element, it links us to one another and it also links us with God as we understand Him. It helps us to hear and see His work in the world through others and all of the events and circumstances, and yes, even a few miracles here and there, all designed to teach us about love and how to care for others and how God loves us. So, if you would like to learn more about opportunities to serve in this area, and I'm not just talking about dentists or hygienists or anyone professionally, but just people, then drop me a line and let me know. I can help you connect with the group I work with. That's the Christian Medical and Dental Associations here in San Antonio, and it has a strong affiliation with the medical schools here in town. It used to be just UTSA, but now we have Incarnate Word Medical. So dental, medical, dental hygienists are involved with us, nurses, occupational therapists, laboratory people. It's quite a group, and it's a wonderful opportunity to work together. Right now we are concentrating mostly about care here in San Antonio, and with the COVID lockdowns and shutdowns, our abilities have been limited, but we're hoping to open that up soon to get back to working with students and with those in need. So there's never a time when we couldn't use people just to support. There's always things to do. Also, if I'm too far away from where you are, you obviously can find other outlets. Check with churches and synagogues and other programs that may be nearer to where you are. Thanks for listening. This has been the Perio Patient Podcast, the first one for 2021. My name is Dr. Ben Young. I am a periodontist in private practice here in San Antonio, Texas. Thanks for listening. And if you like this, share it with others. And we'll talk again real soon. Bye now. 2 silkworms had a race. They ended up in a tie. Now go